So I'm Carol Gordon, project manager for CataList project, and I'm going to kick off our first speed round. So a bit of a numbers update. So now we have just under 450,000 ISBNs listed in the system, and that's up about 42,000 over last year. We added 8 new publishers this year, 22 school and library accounts, 83 retailer locations. We've seen a lot of signups on the retail side, particularly in the gift and non-traditional markets in the past year. That is going to account for a good portion of the retail number. We also have about 450 sort of individual account signups. That's bloggers, students, other people who are just really interested in what's coming in new books. They have sort of a basic account access. They can browse catalogs and look at titles, but they have some access limitations. So for example, they can't see some of the trade-only limited titles and catalogs that are in the system. On the development side, we rolled out a few of our major, often requested features, and I'm going to recap really quickly for you. So we introduced our drop-in management tools. We previewed this last year at Tech Forum, and the idea behind this was to add a way to identify drop-ins at the item level rather than just catalog level. So this enables reporting of drop-ins both by the recency of the title announcement and the book's publication date. So we added a carousel with the most recent drop-ins to the top of the CataList homepage to showcase those new drop-ins as they're being added. And below it, a month-by-month quick search for upcoming drop-in releases by publication date. And then once a title reaches its publication date, the drop-in flag is automatically removed. So tracking the drop-ins at a title level allowed us to introduce some improvements to the exportable drop-in report and the optional weekly emailed summary. So feedback from retailers and wholesalers has been really positive. This report's been helping them keep on top of those late additions, and small wonder it is such a challenge. We get about 75 titles dropped in every week. So this report is available to all CataList users. If you're signed in, you can just go to the alerts drop-down on my page. And publishers will only see their own titles in this view, but buyer-type accounts see all of the publisher drop-ins in the list. If you want to get this report by email, and you don't have that set up yet, in that same place in my page, in the alerts, you can click on the Manage Alerts button and opt in. It'll take you into your settings where you can opt in to the weekly data change emails. Just select that you want to be notified about drop-in titles. While you're there, you can also opt into newsletter if you are not already, to keep on top of our new releases as we promote them. The second major development piece we rolled out in the fall of this year was a long-standing request that we finally got around to. We'd been focusing on the online experience, but we finally made it the year for all of you that love your PDF exports. So we completely rebuilt the PDF creation engine, the export options, so you can still export a standard single title, multi-title, 5 on a page or 12 on a page in a tile view. The default versions, we updated them to include more of the data that users told us they needed in a basic, in sort of every instance. But signed-in users can now create, save, and share their own PDF formatted templates. So most parts of the PDF can be customized to some degree. So you can choose and adjust your page layout, including the number of rows and columns on each page. You can select the bibliographic data and other content that you want to appear. And you can also set the content for your page headers and footers. You can add some custom text in the footer. So if you want to put your order desk number or email, you can add that in there. And we've also added the ability to optionally place some front matter and end pages into the context of your catalog. Since we released this in the fall, we've had 70 users in 28 different accounts, and there's publishers, retailers, libraries, all in that, who have created now over 175 custom templates. Those have been exported more than 1,500 times. So as people get in there and get using it, they're finding it useful. They're making multiple versions of the PDFs that they can call exactly the information they want for different needs. And we've been really, really glad to hear that it is saving people time, that they're finding it useful. This is one of the comments from our customer satisfaction survey. So saving you hours makes us almost as happy as it's making you. A very quick overview of some of the things that you can do I'll cover today, but if you want the full details, there's step-by-step instructions in our help documentation under the export formats topic, and there's a link there to a recording of a webinar where we walk through all of the different customization types, walk you through all of the tools and options. But the process is pretty straightforward. You create a template. You start from one of our 3 defaults, a single, 5 titles in rows on a page, or a tile version in columns and rows. And then you can customize the content that goes into the page. So for example, if you're customizing that tile version, by default, you're going to start with our layout, which is 3 columns across and 4 rows. But you have the ability to change that to anywhere between 2 and 5 in the columns and 3 and 6 on the rows. So you can get as few as 6 titles and as many as 30 on a page. The preview feature gives you a visual representation of the average kind of spacing that you'll have for the data that you've selected. And that'll give you a sense of whether you're at risk of cutting off information that you've selected for your version, so you can adjust it if you need. A couple of sort of examples, some side-by-side examples, where I've just exported the default version side-by-side with a custom version. So you can see there's quite a bit of additional content that you can add in your custom versions, including things like interior images, key selling points, private or shared notes. So some of those elements like notes or reviews, promotion plans, can either go into the center column or the right column, depending what your priorities are in terms of the information that you're seeing in the available space. The list version can be adjusted in terms of the row count. The content for each title can be allocated into 3 or 4 columns, depending what you want to see. And the tile version, again, can be adjusted up and down quite a lot. You can turn cover images on and off, barcodes on and off. So if you just want to have like a quick scannable version of your catalog to take to appointments or shows, you can just export that really quickly. So the front and end matter pages, it's included in the PDFs when you export them, but you can view them online as well, and it's part of the catalog editing tool. So you can insert an editorial introduction to your catalog or details a bit of promotion at the beginning. You can add an end page with your sales contacts or funding acknowledgements, whatever information you want to put in there. It's all optional. It's all entirely up to you. But we're interested to see what you guys do with these features. I have seen promotions so far. I think that's most of what I've seen used for the front pages. Sales contacts definitely in the end pages I've seen. So let us know how these are working out for you. We'd love to hear your success stories. Samples and excerpts. So Elizabeth alluded to this in her Lone Stars presentation, if you saw that one. This is what we're working on, current development projects right now. So we've been looking at metadata and other content that's available in Onyx or that publishers have available. In the last year, we did add some support for additional elements like edition statements and complexity data. That's the Fontes and Pinnell Lexile reading levels. And so we are working currently on integrating the sample and excerpt content. It's definitely something buyers, Lone Stars, librarians are looking for. A few of the requests from our customer satisfaction survey again. We do read and act on all of those comments, by the way, so thank you for those of you that take the time to have your say there. As mentioned, so this is a work in progress now. We expect to have the integration available to our beta testing group within the next few weeks, and then shortly after that available on the live site. So we're very excited about it. If you want to know what content we are supporting and how to provide it, it's a pretty straightforward list: samples, excerpts, tables of content, reading group guides. We already have a number of publishers that are supplying them, mostly through Onyx. The Other Text Composite supports a whole number of these items using the Other Type text code list. So most of this is where our existing data is. If you're already providing it, we're already going to be picking it up. For publishers who have less control over their Onyx feeds or have really design-heavy samples like blads or laid-out tables of contents that you want to share, BiblioShare also has a direct file upload process that accepts PDF and EPUB files. So you can simply post the files named by ISBN and type to the samples folder in your accounts directory on the BiblioShare FTP. More full details are posted in both the CataList and the BiblioShare documentation, help documents, but if you have questions, absolutely come and ask us. What's ahead for CataList? Coming in this year, we are constantly getting asked for more regional data. We are looking to theme subjects, geographical qualifiers to better describe and identify titles that are about or set in specific geographical areas. We also have buyers and acquisition staff asking for more than just Canadian contributor flag, but more detailed location information. We'll talk about that very, very briefly, but I'm going to leave most of it for Tom Richardson's standards presentation a little bit later. Beyond that, we are going to be focusing on improving our cross-site searching, allowing more sort and filter options, and lastly, gathering and integrating price and availability files to surface more sourcing options for the libraries and retailers. All of that is really hinging on publisher data. So there's a couple of things that, in order to get the most out of upcoming features for your titles, that you could be working on if you haven't already started. So the first two items here, thema and contributor place, are the biggest potential stumbling blocks. I think most distributors probably have price and availability files already available. It's less of a concern in terms of availability, but we will be reaching out to make sure that we're getting regular feeds and establishing feeds where we don't have them already. For thema and contributor place, I will say your competitors are working on these now. So some publishers are already providing both thema subject codes and qualifiers and contributor place content in Onyx 3.0 files. So where we have that data available, we're already picking it up for CataList and starting to look at how we can develop future features around them. So themas we've been talking about for quite some time, contributor place. Again, stay tuned for Tom's standards updates, but it's a standardized way in Onyx to indicate relationship of contributors to locations, including but not limited to the author's current residence. You can also check out our Data for Catalogs webinar, which covers each of these items in a bit more detail. That recording is posted now. The BookNet and Editor standards documentation cover them all in detail as well. But I really would encourage you to see what data you may already have for these points and start collecting and storing the data that you have. So thanks for coming to this session today. We're really looking forward to what's coming ahead for CataList this year. Get in touch with us if you have any questions at all, and I will hand it over to Tim for the BiblioShare update.